Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Golden Astrologer Podcast. This is Deb McBride, and I am broadcasting from lovely Escazú, Costa Rica, where it's not raining. Yes, I know, I give you the weather report all the time, but it's very strange. Now we are officially halfway through May, and our rainy season really hasn't begun. We've had sprinkles and sudden showers and things, and I really thought a couple weeks ago we were going to start experiencing that. But that is not what's happening, and it's very hot. So, we all love it because it's sunny and beautiful, and the sky is beautiful and all. But this can only go so far because, it gets really hot, and the rain is not happening to cool it off. So at night, you're trying to go to sleep, and it's hot. But anyway, I should not complain because in a few weeks, it'll probably be pouring, and it'll be chilly. And then I'll be saying, God, it's so cold and rainy, and it's rainy season. But anyway, so I am enjoying these moments, but they're strange. They're strange moments. So anyway, today is May 14th in the year 2023, and it is Mother's Day in the United States. And a lot is going on starting tonight. So let's talk about it because we have so many things happening this week. The first thing that's happening is that tonight Mercury is going direct. So finally, thank you very much, universe. Mercury is going direct, and this is the end of the Mercury retrograde. And that's 9:17 my time, but 11:17 Eastern time, and maybe wherever you are in the world, it will be Monday when Mercury goes direct. And it's a very old story at this point. Like, I'm done. I'm done with this Mercury retrograde. It has been hard, and it has been complicated and confusing, and too many things have happened that have just been right up until like yesterday. And some things today. So it is what it is. Mercury's finishing, thankfully, and we'll have a couple days where we are moving into that just transition out of the retrograde into our experience of Mercury direct and where we are, where we are in where we left things off 3 weeks ago that we might have dropped while Mercury was turning retrograde. So it goes retrograde station direct at 5 degrees, almost 6 degrees of Taurus. And so Taurus is still a big factor in the heavens right now. And so, where you've been in these last weeks matters, and what the communications have been and what the conversations have been. And if you've experienced money leaks, and I've experienced money leaks, and what a money leak is energetically, money is just sort of flying out of your energy field. So in other words, it's not supposed to do that. Like, there are places, like I've had people assuming they can take money from me, and they can't, and I had to stop them or tell them that they can't do that. And that's kind of a money leak. That's where money leaks are. It's not that you're like, oh wow, I had all these unexpected expenses. That's some of it. Things that came out of nowhere that should not have happened. And I had that certainly when we had the Sun Uranus this week, and they were wrong. They were wrong things. They were things that should not be taking money from me, and I had to go and sort it out. So that's one of the confusing things about Mercury retrograde in Taurus, okay? So that is something you may have experienced. The Sun Uranus was conjunct in Taurus, Mercury's in Taurus. There were some confusing conversations, perhaps around finances, money, securities, any of that. So it could very well have been money leaks for you too, or something similar. And then now we are moving past the eclipse period, and the eclipses are finished because they were finished as far as the actual eclipses go a week ago Friday. So it's been about 9 days or so since they've been finished. But this Friday the 19th is the new moon at 28 degrees Taurus, a new moon in Taurus, as there is every year, and this new moon is the one that kicks out the eclipse period. So this is when the eclipse is officially, the energy officially ends. Now, I have felt the intensity continue in these last days. It's not the eclipse anymore, but I still am working at a pace that is ecliptic, so to speak. So I can't say they are parts of like the actual eclipses that are happening anymore, but it is the leftover energies from the eclipse, sort of an eclipse hangover. That's what I call it. And things that are leftover energies that are not really the eclipse, but we're past the eclipse, but we are involved in the aftermath of that. And whatever we might have started or we're doing or working through, these are things that are very profound and powerful that we may still be handling at this point in time. So remember that Friday, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So we're going to clear this energy and we're probably going to feel a whole lot better by Friday. Now, there's some other stuff this week that's profound and shifting and changing and powerful. So, 2 planets change signs this week. The first one is Jupiter. And Jupiter is going into Taurus, and I spoke about this in recent weeks, certainly last week, but I'm speaking about it again because it's important. Jupiter will change signs on the 16th, that's Tuesday, at 1:20 p.m. Eastern Time, and it is Jupiter leaving Aries and going into Taurus. Last week I said you might want to thank Jupiter and Aries for any places where you felt it was good to be bold and a little daring and a little taking the risk. And that's fine. Right now, as I speak, it's 2 days before the 16th. So Jupiter's at the eclipse point of the first eclipse. So that's probably why I'm still feeling eclipse energy. And it's 29 Aries, which is where the first eclipse was, the solar eclipse that we experienced several weeks ago. And so Jupiter may be highlighting that because remember, we're not kicking out eclipse energy yet until Friday. So I tend to think that Jupiter is really kind of agitating or emboldening more of that energy. So it's a little competitive. I've got competitive vibes right now and some things that are very, very powerful. So Jupiter's entering Taurus, and it's going to stay there for a little over a year. So this is good. You know, we like Jupiter going into Taurus. Jupiter is not afflicted in Taurus. It's fine in Taurus, and it can open up the doors to greater financial wealth or, you know, maybe taking some risks and stuff. But there's always the caveat that if you feel that you are in a sticky situation financially, Jupiter can help you, but you should also not take big, bold risks unless you know that you can. Okay? So that's part of it. Now, the other thing is that Mars, the other planet that's changing signs this week, is going into Leo. So what do Leo and Taurus have in common? They are fixed signs. And Mars going into Leo, Mars likes to be in fire. It's leaving Cancer. It doesn't really love to be in Cancer because it likes to be in the opposite sign of Capricorn, where it is exalted. It's going into Leo. Mars works well in a fire sign. It's a fiery planet. So this is good. This is good news. This is good information. Now, there's all sorts of other things here, though. When Jupiter goes into Taurus on Tuesday, it's going to be 0 degrees Taurus because that's the entry point of Taurus. Mars is going to go into Leo at 0 degrees Leo. And where is Pluto? 0 degrees Aquarius. What do they all have in common? They're fixed. So what does this mean? This means that the first thing that's going to happen on Wednesday is Jupiter is going to square Pluto. Now, fixed signs, when we have 3 planets at 0 degrees of fixed signs, it means they're in a bunch of relationships to each other. And they are dynamic relationships and they are challenging relationships. So Jupiter is going to challenge Pluto right away on Wednesday. So Jupiter, being the abundance planet and the planet of expansion, is going to square Pluto. That's Wednesday. So let's take this first, because Mars does not go into Leo until Saturday the 20th. So let's get these dynamics working. Jupiter goes into Taurus on Tuesday. It squares Pluto on Wednesday because Pluto is slow and went retrograde on the 1st of May. And is still at 0 degrees Aquarius and is not really moving off there for a few weeks. And what's going to happen is Jupiter challenges Pluto, and they are very dynamic energies together. Jupiter and Pluto, remember what happened when Jupiter and Pluto were conjunct? We were in the middle of the pandemic in 2020. So now this is the first square that they are making to one another since we had that conjunction back in 2020. Now, here's what's so interesting. This is the first dynamic challenge that they are making to each other in the 3 years. And that makes sense. Jupiter takes a year in each sign. That's 3 signs away. That's a square. So Jupiter and Pluto are going to challenge one another on Wednesday, the 17th at 9:11 p.m. Eastern Time. So what's going to happen is that Jupiter and Pluto are going to possibly bring back some relationships to 2020, possibly bring back some experiences from 2020, some news from 2020, and maybe there were some things going on for you personally during that time that did not have to do with the global crisis. But the other thing that's important is that where they are in the zodiac, Jupiter's in Taurus, and Pluto is at the point where the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction was at the end of 2020. So there's definitely a 2020 vibe hanging. And then there is also the experience of just the fact that they're challenging one another. Jupiter's about expansion. Pluto is about transformation. There's something here that's very high energy and excitable. And it can very well be something to do with our own empowered self or our sense of empowerment. That further gets exacerbated by Mars, which is going into Leo on Saturday the 20th. Why? Because Mars is also going into a fixed sign, like I mentioned, and will oppose Pluto 12 hours after it goes into the sign of Leo. So Mars goes into Leo, 11:31 a.m. Eastern Time on Saturday the 20th, and then opposes Pluto at 11:12 p.m. And so when it's opposing Pluto, it's going to also square Jupiter. Now, Jupiter will have moved, and the square will be exact the following week, but let me explain what this looks like. This looks like the letter T. That's why we call it a T-square. If you say one hand, you have Mars, and in the opposite hand, you have Pluto, and they are opposite one another, okay, like a seesaw. And the one in the middle is Jupiter. So it's the 3 planets in this intense dynamic. Now, this is intense. And I expect that this week is going to feel intense. So we have Jupiter and Pluto alone. That's big energy, big. And it's big, bold energy. And it's like, I want a big transformation with results right now. Okay? And that's the Mars part. Right now is the Mars part. I expect and demand that right now. And Mars opposite Pluto can be very demanding, very powerful, but also on some level it can be a bit angry. It can bring up some argumentative episodes. It can make us in a bad mood. I think Jupiter could sort of assuage that bad mood, but let's face it, we're not fooling around here. This is Mars and Pluto. So, once again, I say things like, be careful driving, watch your words, don't get into arguments, don't get into fights. If you're feeling too much energy, go for a walk, go for a swim, go for a jog, go to the gym. Do something that's going to burn off this Mars-Pluto. This only happens like once every other year. Like, they get together in the same sign, Mars and Pluto. In the same place. They did that last year, 2022, like around March or so of 2022. And then this is the first opposition that they have since then. So this is a big deal. This is a big deal. This is a T-square with big planets. This isn't Mercury and Venus and Jupiter. This is Pluto and Mars. This is the big guns. And I expect that on some level, we're all going to be feeling a little hot under the collar. You may already be feeling hot under the collar because Mars is moving. It's still in Cancer, but it's moving to oppose Pluto. And it's, not really in a square to Jupiter right now because it's behind where Jupiter is. It's not up to where Jupiter is. Jupiter's going to move a little faster. But this is big, big, big expectations, big energies, big boss, big deal, big, it could be something big. It could be something really big. And if you're a fixed sign, like I am, you are going to feel this a lot. All these years we've been getting Mars to Pluto, where Pluto is in Capricorn, and Mars is in a cardinal sign, like Capricorn or Cancer or Libra or Aries. And if you remember, again in 2020, there was that Mars at the end of the year spending like 6 months, 5 months in the sign of Aries, its own sign, but it went retrograde. And it tortured and poked at Jupiter and Pluto and Saturn, all in Capricorn. So we're going to have a little bit of a recollection memory, perhaps, of those energies, but they are in a different place in the zodiac. So I expect news, I expect information, I expect heavy-duty dynamics, I expect people to have things to say to one another, and I really, really advise trying to stay out of arguments and anger, okay? Because one of the things that this could do, Jupiter's like, when it gets involved with Mars, it can be the ego. It can be, I can say whatever the hell I want because I am right in this sense. And oh God, when it's in a fixed sign, people get stubborn and they don't believe that there's another opinion but their own. So Mars is not going to square Jupiter till Tuesday the 23rd. So we have like another week and a half before that. I can't say that we won't feel this energy. I mean, I can't see how we don't. And maybe whatever starts getting revved up this week will get into the, final drum when we bum at the end of Tuesday the 23rd. Okay? So this is a lot of energy flying around. Mars pushes the envelope. Pluto wants to transform. Jupiter makes things bigger. And, when Mars and Jupiter are aspecting one another, there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of ego involved. You could think you're right about something and you won't hear any other piece of advice. Now, there's another component to all of this. These are all happening at around 0 degrees at the beginning of the sign, but we still have the nodes that are at their last moments in fixed signs. And remember, nodes go backwards. So the nodes are at 3 degrees. So we have the north node at 3 degrees Taurus and the south node at 3 degrees Scorpio. So Jupiter is going to be getting close to the north node, which I've talked about quite a bit last week in relative to fulfillment and our experience of our true north and what direction we're supposed to be going in. And I would like to say, let's get excited about this energy that's going to help us move forward in a major way. I hope so. And I think that's what we got to aim for. We've got to aim for a breakthrough. Like I said last week with Sun and Uranus, we've got to aim for a breakthrough. Now, let me refer back to that for a moment. When I said that, and then I just told you what I said, well, there were some things around money and energy leaks and stuff. I had to find them, patch them up, and clean it up energetically. And energetically is where the name of the game is here, okay? Energetically, what's happening, right? And so it's going to be an interesting situation. Now, the nodes, because they're involved, the nodes, there's a whole other dynamic. There's Jupiter going to the north, and the only point that's not got a planet on it is the south node in Scorpio. So the energy, if you take the nodes out of the picture and you just have energy from the planets, the energy spills out into Scorpio. So there's a lot of Scorpio energy that we need to look at here, which is also about transformation. And we're going to have to contend with things spilling out at that south node, and where, again, old habits die hard. Maybe some leftover eclipse energy because we did have the second eclipse in Scorpio. And, this is all happening at the same time we're having that new moon that's going to kick out the eclipse. So we really want to pay attention to our behavior this week. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves. Jupiter and Mars could give you a big head. Pluto and Mars can give you a big head. Mars and Leo can give you a big head because Leo is prideful and Leo is, the king, and I'm entitled and that kind of energy. So this is going to be very interesting. Now, the other thing, the other component to this is that the moon is going into Taurus. Now, I said there's a new moon in Taurus on Friday, but the moon takes a couple days to go into Taurus and get to that point where the new moon will be. So it enters Taurus on Wednesday morning. That's the day that Jupiter and Pluto square one another. And so what's going to happen? The moon is going to go into Taurus and conjunct Jupiter immediately, 20 minutes after. So it goes into Taurus at 8:28 a.m. Eastern Time. 8:47, it's going to conjunct Jupiter, and then it's going to square Pluto at 9 a.m. So this is all within a half an hour. And then this is going to highlight the Jupiter-Pluto square that's already enacted in that Wednesday dynamic with Jupiter, Pluto, Moon. So this is a third planet. This is an intense week, okay? We might get excited about something. We might step forward and make assumptions that things are going to go our way and the way we need them to. And remember what I say about Jupiter and Sagittarius a lot. They're the ones that rush their light. They're the ones that are overconfident. This moon coming in can make it overconfident. Jupiter and Pluto can make it. This could be a very bunch of overconfident energy. That doesn't mean you shouldn't work hard. That doesn't mean you won the prize before the prize has been offered out, before you found out that you didn't get the Oscar yet, right? So you got to keep working right up until the moment the prize is announced, or I'm certain to get my raise that I put in for, my promotion, whatever. Maybe not. So you have to be very aware of your energy this week, and especially around anger and temper and mood and just your ego. Watch your ego this week. Hang on to your ego, as Brian Wilson once sang, okay? Hang on to your ego. Hang on to your ego, because it can run away with you this week. And we don't want that, because, there's still energy here to get slapped around. Mars and Pluto slapped around. So don't assume you're getting something that you haven't got in your hand yet. And you got to let go. Scorpio is where we want to hold on, especially with the South Node there, but we have to be able to let go. And we just got to do what we can and do the best we can this week, and not allow ourselves to get caught up and run away with ego, competitiveness, anything like that. So if it's building to a crescendo, take it back a notch. Go for a walk, go for a swim, go do something that's going to cool things down. And just mind your P's and Q's. That's an old saying, right? So then as we get into the following week, the moon is going to move. It's going to go through, its usual cycle. So we know it's going to be in Taurus. Then it's going to Gemini, Cancer, and then it will go into Leo. The moon will go into Leo Wednesday, the 24th. Now, we're not there yet, and that's not this week's podcast, but I'm just giving you some foreshadowing information, because that moon in Leo is going to cross paths with Mars and Pluto and Jupiter. And that'll be Wednesday the 24th, all that happens. So I really feel like we need to keep on our toes, and we need to keep moving in a way that is positive. Feel into the energy. Feel into it. And what I mean by that is, don't let your ego and your mind and your energy of combativeness take over. Feel into it. If you feel like, well, no, I'm just going to give them a piece of my mind, blah, 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 blah. No, that's when you have to stop, take a breath, take a step back, and cool down, meditate. Bring your energy back down to earth. Remember, Jupiter's going into Taurus. Think of all the lovely, lively things that Jupiter and Taurus will bring us if we're good bunnies, right? Okay, we have to be good bunnies in this. We've got to think about, the positiveness of nature, the positiveness of feeling abundant, of wonderful security, abundance, all those good, juicy Taurus things, right? A little indulgent, a little, comfort food-ish, okay? Don't let Mars make you crash your car, okay? Don't buy a Ferrari when you can't afford it. This is like Ferrari buying aspects. I'm going to buy that car, that fast, speedy, luxurious, egocentric car. I'm going to show off and be flashy. No. This is a good time to just take a step inward that I'm always telling you to do anyway, and really recognize where things are coming from. Okay, recognize where things are coming from. Maybe in some way in your life, it's not been a picnic in these last weeks with all that stuff, and you're just like pissed at somebody and you're going to let them have it. I wouldn't do that. I would just sort of, if you have to talk things out rationally, do that. There's not a lot of air in the sky. The air component is Pluto and Aquarius. Everything else is fire, earth, water. We've got, right now, Saturn's in Pisces, Neptune's in Pisces. I'm talking the moon is in Pisces right now, but Venus is in Cancer. And we're not in rational headspace mode. We don't have any Libra planets. We don't have enough in air to move through this with thoughtfulness. So that's why I'm saying feel. You've got to feel into this. If you feel like going in and telling off your boss is going to get you in trouble, or you think it's going to win you some favors, you're probably not going to win. Okay? So please don't do something dumb like that. Just give yourself some space to breathe and do think. The action-oriented things this week don't want to think. Okay? Mars in Leo. Once it goes into Leo, that's action-oriented. It's a fire sign. If you want to act before you think, that's not going to be a good thing. So you have to remember to think, because the air planets are not there telling us to think. Okay? So you've got to remind, and if you have to put yourself a Post-it on the refrigerator and on the bathroom mirror, then do that, because you have to remember to think before you act this week. Please. Okay, so that's my sermon about that. And then when we meet back here next Sunday, the 21st, we're going to have a lot to say about this, and we're going to talk about what happened. I think eclipse energies are still with us right now, and maybe until that new moon happens on Friday. So just be cautious. No one ever got hurt from using a little extra caution, okay? Okay. Right now, Mars is going to, in the end of Cancer, is going to trine Neptune, which is lovely and feeling and intuitive and sensitive. And let's find some gratitude in our week as Jupiter leaves Aries and moves into Taurus, right? And then there's a very nice relationship from the Sun in Taurus, making a very lovely sextile to Neptune on Thursday the 18th. So that can smooth things over quite a bit too. And then also on Sunday the 21st, before we meet again, that day, the Sun will enter Gemini. So this is the last full week of Taurus that we have. Then the air component is coming in, okay? But it's not coming in while Mars and Pluto are opposing each other. Then, so this could really be an act first, think later. Don't do that. Use your brain. Use your brain this week. The Sun will enter Gemini 3:09 a.m. Eastern Time on Sunday the 21st, and then it will make a lovely relationship to Pluto, which is early Aquarius, as we know, at 10 a.m. on Sunday the 21st Eastern Time. So those are some positive air things that we're bringing in, but the energy to talk things through can help too with the Sun going into Gemini. And remember, Pluto is newly in Aquarius, and this is new information we're getting. So when Mars opposes it, it's new. This is a new dynamic. Mars is in Leo opposing it, not in Capricorn, Cancer anymore, okay? So we're moving into a new dynamic with this. So this is going to also give us some more information about Pluto and Aquarius and what it means for all of us. And that's just about it for the week. If you need me, I'm available. You can book a session with me, astrology. You can book a Reiki session with me. All of that, card sessions and everything, can be accessed through my website, thegoldenastrologer.com. And on that website, you can go to book online and choose your appointment. I am also offering mentoring now. And if you are interested in that, please contact me. It's info@thegoldenastrologer.com or deb@debmcbride.com, and talk to me about what that means. 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. Generally, people want to start with 3 months. I invite you to this new mentorship that I am offering. So I look forward to seeing you, perhaps, in the mentoring space. And if you are interested in Instagram and you're on Instagram, I am on Instagram at the Golden Astrologer. And I've been doing a lot of Instagram new work lately because of the class I'm in with my coach. So if you see stories that look different, they're also on Facebook too. But if you see stories that look different, that's all the work I'm doing, and new practices, new things that we have to do. It's been like Instagram boot camp in this class I'm in. So if you've noticed that, if you notice what's going on and it's changing and stuff. So thank you for looking. And I thank you for listening. And I wish you a beautiful week. And I hope that this week's energy inspires you to take a good risk in your life and get some positive energy moving. Don't let the negative energy get you down. And if people are throwing that at you, not that there's going to be necessarily negative energy this week, but don't let anybody pull you into that, okay? And that's a place where your ego can go. I'm not letting anybody pull me into a negative story. So definitely think before you act, and I will see you on the other side of these things on Sunday the 21st. Thank you for listening. Gratitude to all.